And we're live. Welcome, Superboy fans, to Superboy the Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Sam Rizzo. And on this episode, we give you our picks for the best episodes of season one. But before we do that, let me welcome in my two co-hosts for this evening, Tom Gallagher and David Arroyo. Welcome, guys.
Hey!
Hey, what's up? So tonight we're going to delve into season one. And instead of talking about the worst episodes, we're going to talk about the best episodes tonight. Yeah. Slim pickings in season one. Yeah. But as I like to refer it to as the trial by fire season. I mean, coming off the movies and having to go into television, Ilya and his team, like I said in the last podcast, trying to justify season one, they didn't know what they were doing those first 13, to be honest. And
you can tell.
Yeah, you can. Yep. You really can. But once they got going, once they found their legs with episode 9, which we'll talk about, is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. You could really see where they wanted to go with the show with season 2. Once season 1, they worked out all the bugs. They really hit the ground running with season 2. But in season 1, there were some good episodes. So, Dave, we'll start with you tonight. What was your favorite episode? What's your pick for one of the best episodes from season 1?
It was tough. Just to find any. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was a tough thing to do.
Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah, I picked. I decided to pick one called "A Kind of Princess."
Okay.
It's an episode where Clark winds up dating a mob princess who gets kidnapped. It's a very simple story, but there are a lot of good things that I actually kind of liked about it. First off, I thought the acting was all around pretty decent. Pretty decent. There's a lot of 80s in that.
Oh yes.
Especially that scene where Lana's dancing in the club. It was just like
with Henry again. This guy gets all the freaking action in season 1.
It's the mullet,
It's the mullet.
It's the mullet,
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
I do like the music in the club scene though.
It is.
It's pretty decent music.
Yeah, it is. But there's two things I like about that episode, and number one is something that sadly was kind of like thrown away, especially after season 1 was over. It was never touched upon again, which is basically the dynamic of Lana actually being jealous of Clark dating somebody else that's not her. So basically her having feelings for him, and just showing that not only is she into Superboy, but she's also into Clark as well, and stuff. And that's what I liked about it. While season 2, after that, especially season 2 was a blatant Christopher Reeve, Clark Kent. I wasn't a big fan of that Clark Kent. So growing up, that's actually kind of like, now that I'm thinking about it, why the Clark Kent I like is a Clark Kent who's not a nerdy, like clumsy guy, who's more like just a regular nice guy. And I think this is where that comes from, because I really liked John's portrayal of Clark, not only in this episode, but actually through that entire series. Which I think that rumor has it that was a reason why he didn't come back in season 2. From what I've read, I'm not sure. Sam, you would know more than I would about that.
John did an interview recently. I don't want to say recently, but in the last 2-3 years with our good buddy Joe Stuber from Comic Book Central, and you can find the answer out in there. So just go to comicbookcentral.com or .net. And you can listen to it, but it's basically what every actor wants. After the success of the first season, quote unquote, in syndication, John felt that he wanted more money because he was risking his life being up on the wires and wanted job security in case something happened. And I think just like with any actor, and you're basically your own stuntman. And if something happens, you want to be compensated. So I think he had every right to go and do what he did. But seeing the people in charge and how they were cutting corners and wanted to keep production costs down, that was the wrong way to go about it. So and we know the history of the producer and the team behind the Superman films. So I mean it is what it is. It's ancient history, but at the time, like, John was a fresh actor coming in, getting the role, and made it a success that first handful of episodes. So he had every right to go and ask for a raise, but in the end, it just didn't. The production just didn't warrant it. So they called him on his bluff. So, but yeah, you could go and listen to the full answer on comicbookcentral.net. So
it's a really good interview as well.
It's a very good interview. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also what I liked about it too was, I mean, the acting was good all around, I gotta say.
Yeah, Julie McCullen, who plays the gangster's daughter, is fantastic.
Yeah.
And she has a great story that she told a friend of mine out in California when he was interviewing her for something else. Said, "Man, that John Newton, he does know how to kiss." That was so funny. So yeah, that's what she remembers from doing that episode was, man, John Newton does know how to kiss. So,
I mean, coming from a Playboy Playmate, that's definitely got to be a good.
Oh, was she? I didn't know
she was a Playboy Playmate, yeah. And she's still working today, which is very impressive, you know.
She was
how nice is it in the episode though that she really loves Clark and not Superboy. Like that's something that really didn't happen very often.
Yeah,
and also she played that fantastically. Like you really, they had great chemistry.
They did. I also like the fact that she's not. I mean, there is an element of that, but she's not a typical brat, you know, and stuff. Like, I mean, obviously she's wealthy and she knows it. But she's not like the typical rich girl you see on TV where it's just like completely shallow and self-absorbed. Like you can tell she has a heart in the episode.
Yeah. She's clearly a good person.
Yeah, exactly. She's just unfortunately like she just never questioned where her father's business was. You know, maybe she knew, but she didn't want to admit it, or maybe she honestly didn't know. But yeah, definitely. But there's some good parts in that. I love the part where Clark. She kisses Clark, and Clark is so revved up that he crushes the doorknob as she's leaving, you know, and stuff. So I thought it was pretty funny. There were some really good moments there, and even like the bad stuff, like the bad special effects, I still think were kind of like hokey and cool. Like when Clark uses his freeze breath on that bad guy, and his hand is like a plastic piece of ice, you know.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing that and going on like that's bad, but it's pretty creative, you know. So
well, that guy just lost his hand. Yeah.
How great is that scene as well, where he's holding the guy that works for her father, who turns out to have double crossed him, and he's like flying with him, and he's like doing an interrogation, and he keeps like dropping him down, and like the flying in that is pretty cool. Like it really does look like he's the only thing holding the guy up. Like it's very well done.
A little bit of bad green screen, but better than normally would have been in other episodes.
Oh yeah,
you know.
But so just from a wire work standpoint, that was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I think it's actually one of the better special effects episodes of that season one. Season.
Yeah, they really, you could tell they really did a nice job, especially with the flying. When he's flying off the hotel to capture the guy before he interrogates him, that was great. That was so great. The shot of him with his arms crossed on the building. Yeah,
that's an awesome shot.
Yeah. Although I will say this though, the scene where he stops the car was a little not that great. Not that great.
But it had the classic shirt rip though. It
did have the classic shirt rip, which is pretty cool.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, but I love that scene where like Lana is fuming by seeing Clark and her like having like lunch and stuff, and TJ's going like, what? You know, I just love that. I love that scene, and I really wish they could have kept that in later in the series, which they didn't, which is a shame, you know.
Yeah.
But still, it was good.
Yeah, it was a great episode. It was a great episode in the sense it got Clark out of the goo goo eyes for Lana for a change. That Clark can engage in another relationship with somebody other than Lana. So I thought that was interesting in a sense that, you know, like leading up to it, it's all Clark pining over Lana, but now Lana's pining over Clark because he's with somebody else. So so that was a nice change up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But just that club scene I thought was hysterical. It was kind of like a bar mitzvah, like a hall that they rented and stuff, and there's plastic chairs and but it was hokey, but it was cool. I liked it a lot,
And what was it? Julie McCullough's dress is like blue, like 1980s, like
it's something you
so
bought
funny.
at Kmart, it's just so cheap, but
you're right. The scene of Clark grabbing the doorknob and just crushing it in his hand, and then as he's walking out, he tosses it just in the ashtray because he's pissed. Like, oh, I can't be with her, and I can't it was great.
Yeah.
So
I loved how the guy's sitting there, like just looks,
and he's just cool about it. Just
just shrugs it off. Just,
another Sunday.
You're right. But that was a great episode. What number episode was that? Do you remember?
I think that was number 3, possibly.
Yeah. So right off, it's just cool because right off the bat they show that Clark is like, again, he can have a relationship somebody other than Lana over the course of the series.
Well, I liked about that episode also. It's like it goes to show that the director and the crew worked with what they had. They had a very limited budget, but they made it work. Even stuff that they didn't pull off still came off as like something they were trying, not something they were phoning in. They're very creative to get around certain things of like, special effects, like for example, that freezing,
the freeze breath.
The ice hand. I thought, like I said, it was all very creative. As a kid, even as a kid, I knew like, oh, this is a very cheap show, but that was a good smart way to do it, And the acting was going all around. Even like the end was kind of sad, where like, she still wants to be with Clark and Clark still wants to be with her, but it's just not going to work with the situation they're in. And it's just very sad, because they really were a good couple, And stuff.
It'd just be sad. Oh, go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's a character. It's a shame they didn't bring back for like one more episode. Like it would have been cool if like in the second year, like maybe keep it with John.
Yeah.
But, but maybe there's one episode where he goes to visit her out of town or something, and you can have an episode in a different location.
Yeah, even a reference I would have been happy with.
Yeah, just he's reading a letter from her or something.
Exactly, or talking to her over the phone and stuff.
Yeah,
Three's Company when they fired so many of those girls. And there was that season where she's like talking on the phone because she does not want to be on the show anymore. So sorry, got sidetracked. But
it was a good episode, and it was just very well done, and it was an episode that you didn't think that they would actually go and do that early in the season when you're trying to establish Lana, Clark, TJ, and the whole Schuster University world. They kind of threw you a story about Clark and having a relationship with somebody other than Lana, but put a very 80s, almost kind of like 50s, like the 1950s Superman serials, like on this with the crook, and then Clark falling in love with the daughter of the crook and all that stuff and all the complication that comes with it. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple story, but they made it work. Actually, by the way, I just checked, Sam. It's actually the second episode.
The second episode. Right off the bat. Wow.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't filmed as because the
order was all over the place.
Yeah,
they did another series. They did that too with Sliders, which we will talk about on another
Sliders.
podcast.
Yeah, I can go into that.
The order is all over the place.
Just check out the Joe Blow Gamba video Sliders episode
and the Superboy one. You got to check out the Superboy one too.
Blatant plug, but yes. But yeah. I mean, it was really great. I gotta say is like that was definitely one of those episodes in season 1 that I just go, it wasn't that bad. Season 1 wasn't all bad. Is like how I like to joke.
Yeah, no, there are some good ones in there. definitely.
Oh yeah.
Which do you want to say anything else about A Kind of Princess, Dave? Or
no, I think I'm good. I think I've said everything I need to say. Tom, do you have anything to add about that? Or
I mean, the only thing I'll say is usually I tell people, and it's usually a given that Superboy season 1 started to get good with the alien solution, but the fact that this is episode 2, I mean, obviously, as we say, don't know what order they were shot in, but it's interesting that episode 2 is a pretty strong episode and better than episode 1. Like, I almost think maybe this should have been the pilot.
well, Scott wasn't in it, so it elevates it to like 10 times.
That's more of a plus, really, considering his acting.
Oh God, yeah, we got to have Scott Wells in every single episode. His acting is amazing.
We'll talk about it later in the show.
Textbook acting. Well, let's go to Tom, Mr. Gallagher. I just love saying Mr. Gallagher because Noel Gallagher. Are you related to Noel Gallagher? Come on, no. Come on.
Do you like watermelon?
Do I like watermelon?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a comedian called Gallagher who was
I know.
Yeah. You never know, because some people, they don't have no idea what I'm talking about when I mention Gallagher. So.
No, I think millennials.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to know who Gallagher is.
Yeah. Plus, also he's nuts. But yeah, Tom. Sorry, what was the episode you picked?
I picked. It was a difficult one because I was split between 3 really, but in the end I chose Mutant. Which I forget which number this episode is, but I think it's towards the end.
It is towards the end. It's Mutant is actually I forgot, what was it again? It was episode 21 actually of season 1.
It's an interesting episode, like time travelers from a distant future where it's post-apocalyptic, like nuclear war, and they come back in time because they want uranium so they can build more nukes, which is the stupidest thing ever. But war never changes.
World War III.
It's an interesting episode, and I've heard people say a few times, and I kind of see it, but it doesn't quite fit. But people saying maybe since they use rings and there's time travel, maybe it's a nod to the Legion that they just couldn't do the Legion. But I think it's a bit of. I just think it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
But one thing I do think is interesting though, the time ship that they've got is very clearly bigger on the inside.
Yes.
Very clearly.
I knew there was going to be a Doctor Who reference here. You got
also,
the Cyberman on the bed over there.
It is appears to be made of wood. Yes. Yeah,
that's cool.
That was definitely a classic sci-fi inspired episode.
Definitely.
I mean, I still didn't like it, but still it was very classic sci-fi. With the corniness and
I like it purely for the schlock factor, and I think Sky Aubrey is actually really good in it, and I do prefer this over Tiger Eye. So, but no, I thought she was fantastic in it. I love the concept that like she's a genetic throwback. Like the ones that you assume are the mutants are actually in her time the regular people. Like, I thought that was quite interesting, and it's not the best episode in the world, but it's fun. But I couldn't bring myself to choose Luther Unleashed instead. And another episode I did like is The Invisible People, but
why would you pick that? That is such a bad episode.
Balloons.
I like the fact that
the balloons. Yes,
but
my favorite
Martian Manhunter played. No, his father played the main guy on the beach. That was quite interesting. It's directed by Jackie Cooper. I like the concept of the episode more than the episode itself, so I couldn't choose that. I mean, Mutant, I genuinely enjoy. Like Invisible People's kind of boring.
Yeah,
but I like Mutant. It's not the best episode in the world, but it's a lot of fun. I always enjoy going back to it.
Yeah, the guy
definitely lost schlock there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
the guy in the alien makeup. What was the guy?
That makeup name? With the weird, like blue, hairy eyebrows. Like.
Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of Planet of the Apes. Like the makeup. of Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Like they just threw it together. Like, oh god.
Yeah.
But no,
that
it was
time ship design. That was awful though.
But again, like you got to think about the budget that they were working on in the late 80s. Like,
I do have a theory about it though.
Okay,
The
really?
fact that it's so clearly bigger on the inside, like it does make me think that it was originally just supposed to be the entrance to the ship, and that they were going to maybe do some scene extension and like with a matte painting or something, but probably just ran out of money. But I don't know. I think it would be interesting to go back to some of those shots and try and do a bit of scene extension, put a George Lucas on it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Sky's character is from Gallifrey?
Maybe that's why she's a genetic throwback. She just regenerated and.
Sadly, she passed away November of last year.
Yeah,
shame.
That's part of another reason why I chose it, because I really enjoy her performance in it. Like, and
good choice.
Rest in peace. Like,
good choice. And I'm gonna go the other way, but when we go to season 2, that's her performance and the season finale. I thought was really good of season 2, but we'll talk about it later. Yeah. So are we gonna talk anything else about mutants, or is that?
Actually, I will say one thing though. This is a coincidence. It doesn't. I know it has nothing related to it, but the spaceship actually looks a lot like this episode. I was never a Goosebumps fan. Okay. I only saw one episode, which is a horrible episode called Attack of the Mutant, and
that's the worst episode the show ever did.
Oh God, yeah.
Which is a shame because I like the book. I loved that series as a kid, and I've still got the book. But
I was more into Fear Street, the books that are
even Adam West couldn't save that episode.
Yeah, but the base of the mutant looks a lot like the spaceship from Mutant. I think maybe the color scheme or something like that.
That's right. But, yeah.
I mean, one was a Nickelodeon show, and I know that there was at least a Nickelodeon Studios at Universal in Florida. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was something
I think it's
they
a
had laying
coincidence,
around.
really. Yeah, it's just a coincidence, because I'm pretty sure they burnt that spaceship right after they used it because of this.
Maybe it's just the same set designers or something.
Possibly.
But yeah,
Mutant in Florida.
Mutant was a good episode. I'll give you that. Do we have some honorable mentions for episodes in season 1? That because we don't have Tom here tonight, or I'm sorry, we don't have Chris here tonight. Tom, you're right here. Sorry, we don't have Chris or Adam, and they had some episodes that they picked.
Yeah, we can go into.
You want to mention those? Okay.
Yeah, we can go into those, but Sam, I want you to go into yours first, and then we'll.
Okay.
Do honorable mentions.
Well, before we get to the honorable mentions, my favorite episode from season 1, and Tom, you mentioned it a little earlier, was the Alien Solution, and it was episode number 9. In that first season. The original air date was December 3rd, 1988. It was directed by Colin Chilvers. He was the creative supervisor and director of special effects on Superman the movie. That's where we know him from. The episode was written by DC Comics writer Mike Carlin and Andy Helfer. Mike Carlin, we all know from, he was the group editor during the Death of Superman storylines in the early 90s, mid 90s. We know Andy Helfer. He joined DC Comics in the early 80s. He helped edit the Man of Steel miniseries that was written by John Byrne. And he also helped relaunch the Superman titles in the early 80s as well. But this episode, Alien Solution, deals with a strange cloud-like alien who can take over and possess the other creatures' bodies. So he comes to Earth in the hopes of stealing Superboy's body to add to his collection of the most powerful beings in existence. So it was
of which she's already got 2 or 4
creatures.
He can't have been doing this for very long. That's probably why he was so easily beaten.
Yes.
And I will get to my gripes with the episode, and but overall, the fight between Superboy and the alien on Schuster campus was really, it was cool, but I wish it was choreographed a little bit better. Superboy gets knocked down, and then he acts like he's hurt, and then he like sidekicks the gun out of, or what is it, like this baton thing, this the staff weapon out of. It's almost like Stargate SG-1 before Stargate,
I was just gonna say
which is really cool. So he knocks it loose, and then like the alien's coming at him, and he just super punches him, and he takes him off the ground, and he hits him up against the tree,
I thought
which
that
was
cool.
amazing. How they did that, I hope they like. It was just really, really cool to see just the force in Superboy's punch. It was very natural, but like to lift him off the ground in the way he did, that was great.
What I also like about that fight also, well, first of all, this is the first episode that has him going up against anybody that's not a mobster or
that's right,
something like that. And what I like about it is that fight scene is that first moment when he first engages him, and it's like you can see the surprise in his face of like like he's used to dealing with mobsters, blah blah, going like I could take this guy, and suddenly he's like holy, and he gets like hit, gets shoved back, breaks the transformer, electrical transformer, which I was like, even I was watching it again today because I remember as a kid I really liked it. Then like I was watching it again today and I was going, man, that was actually pretty impressive. They had that fake transformer, it broke, sparks were flying. There's some really good wire work there, pulling people back and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
The practical work that they put into that episode and the subsequent episodes, Revenge of the Alien, were just amazing. Just all the action that they put into those, and even the story in this first episode. There was some issues I had with it, like the first, like going back to the start of the episode, Lana again is thrown out of a helicopter by two crooks, like wearing the same clothes from Countdown to Nowhere, which I thought was a little strange.
I think isn't it just implied that he's been watching since Countdown to Nowhere? Maybe.
Yeah. That's the take.
How amazing of an opening for an episode is that, though? It's just cut to Lana just falling from the sky. He catches her, and she's just like, I don't know how I keep getting myself into these messes. It's like, how often?
Right, but Tom, literally that scene of her plopping over into Superboy's arms is that scene from Countdown to Nowhere, and then they bookended the scene with a new shot of Superboy dropping Lana off at her Jeep. And then Lana being all flirtatious with Superboy
flirtatious?
going.
She like shoves her tongue in his mouth. I remember watching it today and I was going like, whoa, Lana, slow your roll.
Whoa, the hell?
I'd actually forgotten.
You don't even know the guy. But yeah, it was that scene. It was like, okay, I was trying to figure out, like, has the alien been watching him since Countdown to Nowhere, since the season began? Or like, has he been watching him all the while? Does he know he's Kryptonian? How does this alien even know he's on Earth? That was another gripe I had about the script. There was just a lot of plot holes in the episode.
Is Lana's sweater cursed? She seems to wear it a lot when she falls out of helicopters.
Right. Twice in 9 episodes. That's got to be some sort of record.
I'm pretty sure she went home and burned that then, if it could be burned, because it was a horrible looking then. But yeah. I mean, it was really cool. Like, I will say this though, that was the most racist alien I've seen in my life. I actually focused on this episode of my video. I might have forgotten because he is the most racist, stereotypical. Because I was watching, and I was thinking, when I first watched it years ago, I just thought, he's an ancient samurai that the alien picked up from years past and centuries past. But then, like, I was watching, I was going like, oh no, he's supposed to be an alien dressed as a samurai, with a racist Asian accent, which I'm going like, is this like a race? Like, I'm starting to picture, like, is this world like full of like really bad stereotypes? Like, there's a section of the planet that's like all Mexican, going like Madre de Dios, oh Dios mío, kind of like people, and then like other people, like just like hard, like it's just like horrible,
Well, where he picked up that body from? Like, he went like a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and he's one of the members of the Trade Federation. The prequels. Yeah,
he's a distant cousin of Jar Jar because he's equally as racist.
An equally racist accent.
But how do we get on the Star Wars?
They've both got grey skin.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
How do we? And the other thing, we mentioned it earlier, he only conquered 4 aliens. Like, and he's supposedly been doing this for centuries. Like, really? And conquering other worlds. The only other character I could think of in Superman's like rogues gallery that I can compare this alien to is Lobo. Like, that's who I thought. This is Superboy's version of Lobo in some way.
I thought it was more like a version of the Collector, which is
Okay.
a character that in the cartoon Lobo actually works for and turns on Lobo because since Lobo is the last of his race, which he killed his entire race, which is another story altogether. He's the Collector, so I felt like this is the Collector, you know, like, and he likes to collect.
I had another one entirely.
Oh, really? Who?
Yeah, I thought it felt kind of like a Brainiac drone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's collecting, like keeping them in basically bottles.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not actually Brainiac, but especially like in Revenge of the Alien and at the end of the first episode, like it's basically slightly pinkish, sort of veiny. It looks kind of like a brain, so like a gaseous brain.
I will say this though, that what's kind of a shame about that episode is that fight was you couldn't do a second fight with the alien.
Yeah.
It had to be more of like a brainy confrontation and stuff, pun unintended. But yeah, like, you know, it's a shame because like after seeing that fight, you just kind of go like, as a kid, I was going like, oh man, I can't wait for the final showdown with this alien and him, and then this just winds up being like a kind of like a more of like a debate kind of thing, and he gets shoved into a can.
I'm thinking of the other episode.
Yeah.
Well,
he gets put in the freezer also. He's put into a gas can, then they shove him into a freezer.
Right.
Which
and
yeah,
and the cryogenic what is it? Wing of Schuster University, and he puts him in that freezer, the research unit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just never thought. I never thought like that made any sense. Like, why not just go to the moon, dig a hole, and put it down in there? You know, like,
or just throw them into
the sun,
into space or something, or in the sun. Yeah,
but no.
Well, I don't know about that. We all know how Superman handled that in Superman 4, and look what happened.
Yeah,
you know, when you throw stuff into the sun, it usually comes back and tries to kill you. So.
As a Chippendales dancer,
right? You don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want another Chippendales dancer with a bad dub. You know, but
oh man,
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was a good episode, I gotta say. I felt like it was a solid one. You know,
it was for that first season. It was very solid in a sense that it foreshadowed everything that they wanted to do in the second season that was to come. The action, the story. What you hit on was Superboy dealing with supernatural, paranormal entities. I think. Just heighten the stakes a little bit more instead of small time crooks and dealing with kryptonite and all this other stuff. So it just heightened the sense of danger with the series, and that's where they ultimately went with the later seasons. But yeah, there is some things that I wanted to mention about the actor that played the alien. The actor Jeff Moldovan. Butchering his name. He was an actor and stuntman. He is known in the industry for films like Passenger 57, his stunt work on Passenger 57, which came out in 1992, The Punisher, the 2004 one, Final Destination in 2009, Miami Vice, the Miami Vice reboot film that starred Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx he worked on. But also, Jeff appeared on a number of Superboy episodes later in the season and during that first season. He appeared in A Day in the Double Life, and his character was the gentleman that took the car in the junkyard and smashes it supposedly on Superboy. He goes, "Bye-bye, Superboy." That was him. And then he was in Beast and the Beauty. From the first season, and Hollywood he was also in.
My favorite bad episode, Beast and Beauty.
Yeah. But sadly, Jeff passed away on August 22nd, 2013 at the age of 60. So yeah, we can't interview Jeff, but his work stands the test of time. So rest in peace, Jeff, and thank you for being one of the most memorable villains in season 1.
And having an amazing career as a stuntman. You can't say that for a lot of stuntmen. They don't last very long in the stuntman business, but he did, so it's a very impressive thing. But yeah, Alien Solution was I thought it was a solid episode. Lana gets to make out with Clark and Superboy, although Superboy gets tongue.
That was another thing that kind of like after she kisses Superboy in the first 2 minutes of the episode and then walks into it, Clark walks into the kiss with Lana, you would think light bulb, like what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, a little bit. But yeah. But even at the end of the episode, which is hilarious when she wakes up and goes, man, what happened to that monster? Like she remembers that, but she doesn't remember ripping Clark's shirt open and him being Superboy. She thinks it's a dream. So there's another plot hole that kind of was like, okay, you remember certain parts, but you don't remember that. Like, come on. I think she knew.
Like once Revenge of the Alien came and he like possessed Pa Kent, you'd think she'd be
light
like,
bulb.
Wait,
yeah.
I think it possessed me. Clark must be Superboy.
Well, I think that
a huge clue.
I think that was the problem with 22-minute storytelling back in the 80s. I mean, like, again, it was syndication and they did what they could. And I feel like a lot of the stories they nailed in the 22 minutes that they told, especially in that first season, the episodes we mentioned. But yeah, these episodes and the characters definitely could have used another 20 minutes or 24 minutes of development just to stretch the stories a little bit better. Because I feel like the alien was so underdeveloped. Like you could have used him as, like you said, Dave, like as the collector. You could have tacked him into Clark's mythology in a way with Krypton and the Kryptonians and him knowing about Krypton and he's the last survivor. And like, if I could inhabit his body, I could take over the galaxy. Like you could have played up that story a lot, even more than what they did. So.
There was also some good Easter eggs. Like, this is probably me too looking too much into it, but didn't one of those creatures in the cases look like the Gorn from Star Trek, the original series?
Yeah. I didn't think of that.
It looked a lot like it. I just kept thinking in my head, like, did they just like use an old Gorn costume they found like in the prop room and just put it in there? Because it looks a lot like it, you know.
Do they know about the Enterprise? Like, does he know about?
Oh my God, crossover,
ultimate
crossover. You know, so we got Doctor Who, we got Star Trek. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah. Man, we hit them all tonight, didn't we? We hit the three main ones. So, do we have any honorable mentions?
Let's talk about Chris and Adams. Adam picked, I believe, Kryptonite Kills.
The introduction to Kryptonite. Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah, with perfect acting by Scott. You know what's funny about that? You know what's
consummate professional, that man.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? Like, I remember when I was watching it just recently, I remember going like, well, I mean, I'm really seeing Scott in that episode. That episode, famous line and stuff. And I think I remember seeing I barely remember the last episode he was in, imitating that Silver Age Lex Luthor comic book. And I just kept thinking, well, I mean,
Unleashed.
yeah. And I kept thinking like, oh, maybe he gets better. I mean, he can't be, as bad as the first one. He has to show some kind of progress. Nope. If anything, it's worse.
So you don't think he got better by the end of the season?
Oh no.
I think he's at his best in that episode, but only in like a couple of moments. The rest of the time, it's just awful. Especially like when he loses his hair and he sort of does that sort of dramatic scream. But it's just so
total ball cap. Ball cap. Yeah.
But I hated Kryptonite Kills. I'm sorry, I hated it. I mean,
did you?
We got the stereotypical nerds, that
I hate those nerd characters. They're the worst part of it. Like a show, it's a comic book show, and you're showing nerds to be like that. Like seriously,
will there be girls there? That's all I can think of. That stupid line.
No, or like, we're gonna get girls with this. I'm like, how are you gonna get? You're supposed to be smart,
Yeah.
You create this machine, and you think like, how are you gonna get girls with this machine? You're like, come on, dude.
But I got to admit, Lex's dorm was freaking awesome.
It was
awesome. For 80s, the 80s, like, it was a bachelor pad. That was awesome.
Had a hot tub and everything.
It had everything.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Mano had like this weird line in it where like Lex is going like, you got to go back up and, get the necklace in the fire. And he's like going like, no, I can't do it. No, man. And then he backs up. Yeah. The next, he's in the freaking room.
Yeah.
Grabbing it. I'm going to think to myself, how did he convince him? Like,
yeah.
Because he literally backed away and walked away from Lex, like what I just kept thinking, I don't know. It's like some bug me, like about that. Yeah. Like, how did he get him back into the room?
He's Lex Luthor, damn it. That's what that is.
Yeah. I think Leo is just so scared of Lex that he had to go. But I thought Michael was like, it was pretty decent performance on that line where he's just like, I'm not going up there.
Yeah.
And it's like he stands up to Lex for a second, and then he's probably just like, "Oh shit, I better go up there."
Yeah.
Again, what I love about Kryptonite Kills, this was the first episode I saw when they re-aired it here in Chicago. Because they aired them on WPWR, which was channel 50 here on 4:00 on Saturdays, and then once the series ran its course, once they ran all 100. It sat for, I want to say, like 2 years. And then right in 95, the summer of 95, Fox 32 here in Chicago aired all 100 episodes. So I caught it. That was the first episode I saw was Kryptonite Kills. And I was like, oh my God, they're bringing Superboy back. No, it was just the first season. I never saw the first season. And what a great way to get into the show, that first season, because John takes the power lines and he grounds the power. Well, Superboy grounds the power lines, and that is such an iconic shot.
That's a pretty cool shot.
Saving TJ, and he's like, "TJ, you got to get out of here. This thing could explode any minute." And then,
how dumb is TJ when he's like,
he just
keeps under the lines, taking more pictures. He's
But
like
even
Superboy's literally glowing with electricity, and he's like, hold your second, just gotta take more pictures here, First of all, can you even develop those? I mean, they're so bright.
No.
Come on. But it did remind me of Fleischer cartoons for some reason.
It did. It was cool. It was just the wire work, and like him, like before he transforms into Superboy, he does the shirt rip in the dorm because he's looking out the window at the transformer that's going on and off, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? I got to investigate," because they're using the kryptonite ray on it. Just a great scene to get into that first season, because I sure as hell didn't know anything about that first season. I was late to the game. My first episode I saw later was Bizarro the Thing of Steel, but to see John Newton in that role in that episode, that was my first episode of season 1, and that episode will always have a special place in my heart. And it's the first episode with kryptonite. And we all know how they use kryptonite to death in the following seasons, but it was cool. Like, it really, as we find out over the course of the show, they really paid tribute to the Silver Age comics, and Professor Peterson walking in to the auditorium and going, "I just received a great find from Addis Ababa," and he holds up the rock. That's right from the comics. Great. Like, they really paid attention to the comics, and having writers like Mike Carlin and Andy Helfer on staff to really give it that gravitas from the comics was just amazing, which they should still do today, like in the films. Come on. So
I'll tell you one thing I forgot to say. Look, you saying about when Peterson first shows the rock, like, his glasses come off.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And
do they?
Nobody. Yeah, he's got his glasses off. Everybody's leaning over him, and his glasses on the floor next to him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Nobody notices, but I guess you don't expect Superboy to be in pain on the floor, so nobody's going to make the connection. But that always annoyed me slightly.
Yeah, and John, I thought that too. Yeah.
John played it really well. Like, he's sweating, and he's like, "I've never felt this way before," and he just keels over. Just a great scene. That was just a great scene. And then Lana and TJ, we need a doctor. And he's like, "No doctors. No doctor." It was great. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
I tell you what, as well, I think his contact lenses, the blue contact lenses, usually look fine. They don't look. Blue contact lenses never look perfect, but when he's like on the floor, the fact that they look so strange, actually,
They look like electric blue. It's like, oh my god, that's how blue. You're well. They later on, when Gerard took over, when he was going in for the screen test, they asked him to put contact lenses in. He's like, my eyes are naturally blue. You're gonna make me look weird. Like, so yeah, they never used the contact lenses on him. I wonder if they use. We'll ask John when we have him on if he used the contact lenses. But yeah.
I actually feel bad. Because I made fun of John so much in my video, and after watching these episodes, I was going, yeah, I was a little hard on the guy. He actually did pretty good. He actually did a pretty good job. Like every episode was different though. There were some episodes where there was just bad, like when Lana dies in Alien Solution. I make fun of that scene where he's like, and I'm going, and even back then I was like cracking up. By the way, that EMT should be fired.
Yeah, he pronounced her dead.
He pronounced her dead.
Oh my god! And then Superboy's no, her heart is faint. She's still alive. Yeah, that guy should lose his job totally.
Yeah. Totally malpractice. Should be banned from medicine for the rest of his life.
But yeah, I mean, there was so many cool sci-fi elements in that episode. Even when the doctor comes in and Lana's like in the bed, and she's already been inhabited by the alien. And the doctor's talking to Clark and says, that thing that Superboy fought was already dead. He's like, you got to be kidding me. The thing was alive. No, it was preserved in formaldehyde. Like, it's been perfectly preserved. Like, that was interesting. That was very, what is it? It was very almost alien in a way. Even the look of him was kind of like, I don't know. It was just like, I think one of those aliens in those cryotubes looked a little like the aliens, not like the xenomorph, really. So interesting. Another crossover.
I kind of saw it as kind of a mixture between the Mummy and like something like The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It's like what if a demonic thing is possessing a dead body? Like, it's a fun concept. Like.
It was a very interesting concept. They did it in the Tomorrow People. That was another thing that they on Nickelodeon. There was the version of the Tomorrow People. They did that a little bit in that. I forgot it was like one of the later seasons they developed that there's this alien race that comes and does like Children of the Corn type of thing. So it was very reminiscent of that. But the one thing that perplexed me about this alien was if you can possess one creature, but at the end of the episode, he goes and tries to possess those 3 other warriors at the same time. If you can do that, why don't you just possess an entire army and go after Superboy?
Yeah.
That was the other thing that just kind of...
I guess you could argue that he has a limit and he gets weaker as he divides.
Okay.
So you could say that,
Yeah, it was. It was really interesting. Like, if you can do that,
as well. In Revenge of the Alien, he's possessed Pa Kent and he takes Lana hostage. Why didn't he just possess both?
I don't know. Good question. We got to ask.
Dividing between 2 can't be that strenuous. Like.
We got to ask Mike and Andy Helfer. Well, Mike Carlin and Andy Helfer. We got to have them on.
Yeah.
You got to answer these. We have questions. We have 30-something-year-old questions that need answers. So, go on. But any other honorable mentions? We mentioned Kryptonite Kills, which was Adam.
Adam had
which was Chris's. That was Chris's. I'm sorry. That was Chris's.
No, Chris was Mrs. Pillock episode.
Oh, Michael J. Pollier. Wow.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's a very favorite episode to everybody, but I hated that episode. It was actually the first time. It was actually the first time as a kid I realized that just because something looks cool in a comic book does not mean it's going to translate well to real life.
I think it can, but you need a much higher budget, like
and a better actor.
Budget they had. It just no. I like Michael J. Pollock. Like
I do too. I thought he was. I thought he was
underplaying it.
Guys, come on. He was so stiff. Like I'm watching it again.
Okay. I'll give you the first episode. He was, but then the second one, the Mr. and Mrs. Superboy, I thought he had a ball. In that second episode. Yeah. turning
he had
Andy,
Richard Kiel to act alongside as well.
Turning Andy into that girl, and when he touches his hair, he goes, "This hair is real." Like, that was great. That was so great. Oh, come on! How can you not love Michael J. Pollard as Mixus Pitalik? He was so good.
He looks just like the character as well.
And you know what? They needed to bring him back. Honestly, that was one character that
with the production team of season 3 and 4, they could have done it much better.
Yeah, that would have been cool. With Bizarro, when we interviewed Douglas, that was one villain that I wish they would link Bizarro up with, was Mixus Pitalik, because then they could just wreak havoc on Superboy's life and Clark's life. That would have been crazy. That would have been a crazy episode.
I don't know, guys. I mean, because Mixus Pitalik is the type of character that needs more energy, and he was so subdued and stiff at times. And I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I know you guys love Benal, but I hated him. I thought it was just bad. I thought it was like just bad acting. Just like, even the jokes weren't landing. He's a comedian. Even the jokes weren't landing.
I think that's why he underplayed it, because he knew the jokes were shit. So he was just maybe if I underplay it, people will know that I'm kind of I'm playing it very tongue in cheek.
But it was funny when he would call Lana, "Sweetie honey, come here, Lana, sweetie."
Because he's funny though, but like John playing Michael, that was really strange. Great. Like John played him so creepy. It was really fun to see. Like, it was completely different to anything else John did on the show. So.
I mean, Mixie was a creepy character in that episode altogether. He was kind of like that creepy guy in the subway, but with ultimate power, which you never want to see,
Yeah. But any other honorable mentions? Or is that it? Hollywood's a great episode.
Hollywood's a decent episode. It's a decent episode. There's some good jokes, like when one of the producers goes and says to Clark, "I'm sorry, they don't think you're from another planet. You just don't look it."
Right.
That was pretty cute.
Yeah. When he's lined up with the astronauts and stuff, and they're taking that picture, that was great. That was a really cool.
It was a throwback to those old Superman serials, so I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool.
I like this sort of sleazy scientist that invents the time machine as well. Like he invents time machine purely so that he can make money in the future. Like,
which is really smart. That's what I would do, man.
Yeah, it's a great plan. It's just Superboy would let it happen. But
totally give away his. He spent like almost a year working like his butt off to get this property.
I did feel bad about that. Like, maybe Superboy could have let him keep like one.
Yeah, it's just one,
Yeah, but that professor was the total antithesis of Dr. Brown from Back to the Future.
Mixed with Lex Luthor.
Mixed with Lex. Yes.
Gene Hackett obsessed with real estate.
Yeah. Oh, God. Doc Brown would have beat that guy over the head going, "You can't take this. You're corrupting the future." But yeah, we literally did hit every single sci-fi property tonight. Back to the Future, Doctor Who, every Tomorrow People, Sliders,
Revenge the Alien, Terminator,
Star Trek. So yeah, Superboy definitely took inspiration from those series, and also like having writers like Mike Carlin, Andy Helfer, like Denny from the comics, Denny O'Neil, like it made that first season a success enough to warrant a second season. And with episodes like Hollywood, Alien Solution, Revenge of the Alien, Kryptonite Kills, like it propelled that first season into that second season, and it gave it the DNA of where the series wanted to go. And like, I mean, just look at that second season. You have villains like Bizarro, Metallo, all those characters from the comics that even till this day, a lot have Bizarro in it, as a prime example, has not been done justice yet. And Superboy was the first to blaze the trail to do that. So,
not to mention, it was a good stepping stone for a lot of actors that went to do like amazing things. Like even with that Hollywood episode, it was Gail Grady, who's still working today. Beautiful, so gorgeous. She's had 6 husbands, but still gorgeous.
That's Hollywood for you. That's the episode Hollywood. That's Hollywood.
There you go.
It's funny that you said just a minute ago, Sam, about how it sort of blazed the way for where they wanted the show to go. It's funny watching Hollywood because they basically dressed him up like George Reeves as Clark Kent, like even right down to the hat. And it's just suddenly it's
the
like
fedora.
I could totally see him in that era as an adult Clark Kent working for the Daily Planet. Like it's something about wearing the suit with the hat and stuff. It just completed the Clark Kent sort of disguise.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, I mean, everybody I talk to say John's portrayal is very reminiscent of George Reeves. And his confidence as Clark Kent, his confidence to a certain degree as Superboy, but also in a number of interviews, John, before he started filming, said, "This is young Superman. I'm going to make mistakes, and I want to show those mistakes." They really never showed it. And that was one thing that he always knocked the show, was that I want to show Clark developing the Superboy persona. And they really never did it enough, I felt, in that first season. Yeah, I mean, you have the sparing phone call from Martha Kent in those early episodes going, "Are you thinking of becoming Superboy?" And you go, I feel like they needed to show that a little bit more, him developing the Superboy persona. And like he said in a number of interviews, I want to show that development as a character, as Clark Kent, to give him more depth. And they just didn't. So, but again, it's all that time constraints of 22 minutes. That's all you can do. Here's the villain. Here's the situation. Here's the resolution. So that's what they were kind of stuck doing, that formula. So
I think if he'd stuck around, like if they kept him for all 4 seasons, like you would have seen more of that transformation. Like I think the Clark he starts off with as and ends up as would have been very different.
Right.
But especially just with a different producer coming on, like when Julia Pista come on, and just that whole season 3 change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, each season, and we'll talk about it in subsequent episodes, you could see the progression. The series got better with each passing season. More money went into production, into effects, into costumes, into story, and into the writing staff that they brought on. So, I mean, literally those last 2 seasons are the X-Files before the X-Files. That's how I feel. Just without Mulder and Scully. So, but anything else we want to say on the best of season 1 before we wrap up? Dave?
Yeah, I'll just say something that I didn't know that Sam told me just recently. Get your DVDs while you can, because they're going out of print. And soon you'll go back to those old days of going on conventions and paying an arm and a leg for a bootleg version of the shows.
Do you have the bootleg behind you, Dave? No.
I do not have it behind me now.
You don't have it behind you tonight, but
not tonight, but I have had it in the past,
I think Tom might be breaking out his. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yep, here you go.
I actually, to be honest with you, that's my second bootleg. My first
there you
bootleg.
go. There you go.
These are from early 2000s.
Are those the Sky recordings? Are those off the Sky?
Some of Sky, and I think one is the channel that you watched it on.
Oh, WWR.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. So
I
think at least the Paranoia episodes from that channel, but it's from all over. Like,
gotcha.
I might even have some Canadian broadcast.
Oh my god! Wow.
It's funny. What I have is my second bootleg. My first bootleg I bought when eBay was still new, and it was back in the day where it was playing fast and loose when it came to bootleg DVDs. And I actually paid $80 for mine.
Oh my god! Yeah,
$80 for the series, and the guy shipped it by media mail. And I lived in Puerto Rico, so it's an island. So it took me 3 months to get, because it was so cheap. It went on like a freighter and stuff. So it took me 3 months to get it. Yeah.
Oh my god! Wow.
I'm quite lucky. I got all 4 seasons for £25.
I was 6, 7 years old, and I forced myself to learn how to record on the VCR. So I still have all my original tapes. I have the DVDs.
Thanks to guys like you, though, that we the bootlegs are even around. Because if it wasn't for guys like you,
but I mean, I have the DVD.
We hadn't watched the show until the official DVD came out, and maybe it never would have come out because we had no way of watching it before.
Right.
So many shows are lost to time. I mean, Tom, I know in England they erased a lot of those shows. Doctor Who second season lost most of it. Lost to time. Shame.
Yeah. Like first and second Doctors have like there's like I think something stupid like 100 and something episodes just gone.
Well, we have a comment from one of our followers from Superboy Legacy, Bruce Wayne. Nice name. I recorded the episodes when they aired and eventually made my own DVDs. I think we all did that. And yes, he just wrote, yes, I still have my tapes too. So yeah, I think we all still have our tapes. Yeah. But anything else you guys want to mention before anything you guys want to plug before we wrap up this episode?
The new episode of Gamma Forgot will surely come out next month. Right now, we're airing the latest episode is a 1970 Spider-Man episode. Keep looking at my show, and hopefully, we'll keep getting the good content out for you guys, and keep the show alive, keep Superboy alive. Buy those DVDs, share those DVDs. Promote the show because we need more fans for that show. For this show.
We do. Yes, we do. Amen to that. Tom, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Well, I wanted to say thank you to the people that have left comments under the Paranoia HD restoration.
That was amazing.
Amazing, Tom. Amazing.
Thank you. It was really cool to see the response. I did the whole episode, not just the clips that you see online, the entire episode, just because I wanted so I can watch it myself. But
it looked great. I mean, there's the close-up shots that you mentioned where Superboy is that close-up shot of him, the thumbnail, excuse me, I can't talk now. That close-up shot, like you could see the detail in his face, in his hair. There's like a lot of the close-up shots, the color correction that you did, like this is what you can do now. Like the technology is there. Like, it's not HD, but it is the closest we'll ever get to a restoration.
It's a considerable improvement over the DVD. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a win. But I am going to do another video soon, and I just want to do one that shows the progress from the first time I saw Paranoia to the remaster. So I'm actually going to rip the episode from my bootleg DVD with all the VHS sort of graininess and all that stuff, and just do some nice transition shots, stuff like that. Talk about how I actually did it. But I did also want to announce that I'm going to remaster Kryptonite Kid next.
Very cool.
Awesome. One of my favorite episodes, actually.
Jay Underwood, we got to get him on the show. Very nice guy. He was also on the X-Files. Great episode of the X-Files he was in.
Roger Corman's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I like him in Uncle Buck. He plays Bug Spray.
Right. Yeah, I gotta watch A Boy Who Could Fly. I haven't seen that in the longest time. And Not Quite Human. Not Quite Human. That was another one I haven't seen in a long time. With Alan Thicke as the dad. Yeah, from Growing Pains. So long time I haven't seen that. That's one of those Disney films from like when Flight of the Navigator came out. Like they were just really, really good.
Actually, it's funny you should mention that. This is an old movie I used to watch on Disney called The Cat from Outer Space.
The Cat from Outer Space. Wow.
Very cute.
Ridiculous.
Very cute
That's
show.
ridiculous.
Movie, actually.
I bet that's on Disney Plus now as well. Like they're uploading all these obscure films these days.
So with that, do we have anything else we want to plug or say before we sign off?
Well, we are coming out next week. We don't have a stream, but we do have a trivia special.
That's what
where we'll be giving out prizes for the winners of the trivia. So stay tuned for that next week.
We're going to have all the details later on in the week on how you can sign up and join and win some really cool exclusive Superboy prizes coming up. So stay tuned. Go follow our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Superboy Legacy. To not miss anything Superboy related, go to our website at superboylegacy.com. The reminder, the schedule's changed a little bit. Wednesday nights, like our live streams, we're going to go to every other Wednesday at 8/7 Central here on YouTube, Facebook Live, Periscope, and Twitch. All episodes are going to be available the next day in podcast form on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and Overcast. Again, thank you, Dave. Thanks, Tom, for being here. And till next time, I'm Sam Rizzo. Same super time, same super channel. Thanks,
and throw
guys.
that S.
Throw the S.